1699 of the Herscher Building, 122 West 25th Street, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Present today from the council is Dr. Dave Bagley, Tim Flitner, Rich Fair Service, Nick Hagopian, Rich Fair Service is not. Nick Hagopian, Deb Bomber, and myself. Staff present is Jim Ruby, Executive Officer, Joe Girardin, Business Office Coordinator, and Brian Shellhouse, Deputy Attorney General. The first order of business is a public hearing for docket 17-3101 regarding Chapter 14 of the Water Quality Division rules. At this time, I will turn the gavel over to Dr. Bagley as the hearing officer.
Thank you, Chair Lawley. The representatives from DEQ, I see you've come forward. Would you please introduce yourselves and proceed with your testimony?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I'm Kevin Frederick, Water Quality Division Administrator. I have with me today Mr. Bill Tillman on my staff and Ms. Gina Thompson. So for today's proposed rulemaking activity, I'd like to read a statement for you that should hopefully understand the purpose of the proposed rulemaking and a little bit of background on it. The state of Wyoming DEQ Water Quality Division permits all commercial oil field waste disposal facilities. We refer to these as COWDIS. That's the acronym. You may hear that come out again. COWDIS accept oil field produced wastes outside a lease, unit, or communitized area and are authorized to accept exploration, drilling, and production waste that are exempt from RCRA hazardous waste regulations under the exploration and production exemption of the federal rules. These facilities permitted after February 24th, 1989 are required to post a bond for closure, including decommissioning and reclamation, post-closure inspection, corrective action, if any, is warranted, maintenance, and environmental monitoring. Facilities permitted prior to this date are classified as grandfathered facilities by the DEQ and are exempt from current COWDIF financial assurance requirements under Water Quality Rules and Regulations, Chapter 14. Currently, 11 of these facilities, or roughly a third of the total 35 COWDIFs within the state, are not covered by financial assurance to cover closure and post-closure activities in the event of operator default. In 2014, we requested a study to estimate the costs needed to perform closure, post-closure corrective action, and reclamation of the grandfathered COWDIS in the state. The 2014 report developed for the DEQ contains a facility description, facility layout figure, and associated closure, post-closure cost estimates for each grandfathered COWDIF facility. The cost estimates were completed in accordance with DEQ's requirements in Chapter 14 regulations for financial assurance for post-February 24, 1989 COWDIFs. I have a copy of that report here with me today if the council would like to review it. It's also available online on our website. The goal of facility decommissioning and reclamation is to remove the facility infrastructure and return the site to a condition as close to a pre-construction condition as feasible. The plans described for decommissioning and reclamation are designed to ensure public health and safety, environmental protection, and compliance with applicable regulations. The procedures outlined include a general description of the proposed activities to be undertaken upon facility closure. These facilities that are described in this report with cost estimates associated with these activities include evaporation pond water removal, separation pit water and oil water mixture removal, treatment and disposal of pond and pit sludge and petroleum contaminated soils, tank separator and pipe cleaning, dismantling and disposal, infrastructure demolition and disposal, grading, backfilling and recontouring, reclamation and reseeding, as well as sampling and monitoring for well abandonment, fencing, etc. Estimated total closure, post-closure cost for the grandfathered facilities ranges between $7.2 and $9.2 million, as estimated in the report. To date, using roughly $750,000 of state funds, DEQ has had to close and reclaim one grandfathered COWDIF whose operator could not afford to do so himself. DEQ, through the Attorney General's office, is currently in litigation to obtain funds that will be needed to close and reclaim a second grandfathered COWDIF that is now closed, with any little, if any, funds available for closure, and will likely become abandoned. The cost to close and reclaim that facility are estimated to be as high as $1.5 million. In a public hearing before the Water and Waste Advisory Board in Casper, Wyoming on March 23rd of this year, we received support for our proposed revisions to Chapter 14 from both the Petroleum Association of Wyoming and state environmental groups such as Powder River Basin Resource Council and the Wyoming Outdoor Council. Our proposed approach was also presented to the Joint Minerals Business and Economic Development Interim Committee on October 10th of last year. Public comment on the proposed approach was supportive at that meeting as well. We believe our proposed revisions to remove the exemption for grandfathered facilities is reasonable and appropriate, and encourage the council to move to adopt those proposed revisions at today's hearing. Now, Bill Tillman and my staff will briefly review those proposed changes for you, and will attempt to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead, Mr. Tillman.
Councilman Bagley. The majority of the changes that Administrator Frederick has just outlined are basically in Section 1B on lines 10 through 17. We're removing the grandfathered facilities financial assurance so that basically all new and existing will be required to post financial assurance. Other parts of that chapter, or in this section, basically we corrected grammar and cross-reference errors. In Section 2, on lines 145 through 152, one thing that we added there, we also add the requirement that existing COWDIFs also have to post financial assurance, but we also specified that within 90 days of promulgation of this rule, these will have to post financial assurance. In Section 3, again, primarily there are cross-references that were corrected, some capitalization and punctuation errors. And also we added, we created a new section that was actually moved from a previous section. Section 3, condition 3H was moved from Section 6 and now is, we feel, more appropriately placed in Section 3. Moving on, Section 4, again, just contains capitalization, formatting, corrections. In Section A, I, B, we streamlined the self-bonding proposal. In other parts of the section, in A, I, C, I2, it was renumbered per the Secretary of State rules on Chapter 2. And again, other correcting and formatting errors in that section. And then the remaining sections in Section 5 and also in Section 7, those were basically restatements of the Act that were basically not necessary, and so those were eliminated just to streamline the chapter. So again, just to state that the majority of the change that we're stating here is just removing the grandfathered facilities, their financial assurance, so that they all have to post financial assurance, both new and existing facilities.
All right. Thank you. Are there any questions from council members? I see everyone shaking their head. No questions. I guess I have a question. So of the 11 that are remaining, you said one of them is now being examined for closure at this point?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And then, so the other 10 are still active, or do we think they're going to be trying to close up soon too?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. They're currently active.
Well, that was all the questions I had. I felt like I should ask a question. Is there anyone here who wishes to testify in support of this rule? Is there anyone who wishes to testify in opposition? Is there anyone who wishes to testify in a neutral capacity? All right, seeing nobody wanting to testify in any of those capacities, Mr. Frederick, do you have any other comments that you'd like to share?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only other comment I would like to make is I incorrectly stated in my previous testimony that the advisory board meeting was on March 23rd. It was actually on June 23rd of this year. My apologies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes.
One quick question, not necessarily about the substance of the rule, just in reviewing the comments in preparation for the meeting today. I noticed that you guys are providing, are they comments that came through the new digital system, the new online submission system?
Yes, sir.
Curious if there is a possibility to include the individual's first, last name, their address. Kind of curious to see, where some of these individuals live in the state, and if they live in the state when they're commenting on state-specific rules.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Agopian, I believe that when the commenter enters their comment, that information is, we do take their organization name and their address, and there's a metric that we can use internally to see where in the state or where in the country the commenters are located, but it doesn't print out when we render it into a PDF, it doesn't print out in that capacity. But if that's something that the council wishes to see, I could pass that along to our developer.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that, even if it's just submitting the actual, if you run the report and get that metric, just submitting that out of curiosity to see where folks are that are commenting on the rule.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, that's certainly something that we could provide.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? So do I have a motion to approve the statement of principal reasons and the rule package as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll vote on this. So do a roll call vote. I'll start with Councilman Bittner. Aye. Chair Lally.
Aye.
Councilmember Balmer.
Aye.
Aye.
Agopian, thank you. I vote aye as well. So the package is passed. Thank you very much for presenting it to us. And we'll sign that paperwork and get it moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council.
Now turn it back over to Chair Rowland.
The next item on the agenda will be at 2:30. So yes,
And what time?
2:30. Oh, second I can find. Just as a question, Jim.
Yep.
And also to the EQ, I'm assuming you're giving Jim estimates of how long these will take on these hearings. And I guess if we could be a little closer on how long it'll take, to make sure we get
Madam Chair,
less time sitting around.
would one option also be, I know we've discussed this in the past, not having start times, specific start times. We could start with the afternoon and indicate that we're going to just roll through the agenda as completed.
I believe that the AG's office told us we had to have specific times based on, because these are official hearings.
Are they? Brian, is that?
I think the APA talks about the rules hearing having a date and time. I mean, one option could be used, and I don't know how it works with DEQ and getting the information to Jim for the notice and all that. But one option could be you just stack everything at one. And then you just, everybody needs to be here at 1, and so instead of 1 and 2:30, you just stack everything at one time, and then you just do it, so then you're not sitting around. That's, if that's an option logistically, instead of the different times, maybe you just, all the rules hearings would be December, what's today, the 5th at 1.
That'd be like what the Supreme Court does, where they send everything for 9 o'clock on the day of, everyone shows up, they say A and B or 9, 10:30, and just kind of line it all out then.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the APA, requires date and time, so there does need to be a time, but I don't know the reason right now why it couldn't, all 3 sets couldn't be one, and then you just go one after another.
Okay, thank you, that answers my question.
Are there any thoughts by the other council members on whether that's a good idea or a bad idea? Or
I'm for it. I mean, even if you stack them 30 minutes apart or whatever, I mean, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like sometimes we waste a lot of time. Sorry, I forgot my printout. But we will move on to the consent agenda. Here. Oh, minutes. Okay, why don't we move to the approval of the August 1st minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our August 1st meeting?
So moved.
Second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's been passed. And now we'll move to the minutes from our September 27th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There are no NOVs or orders on consent. Okay, and then Jim sent out a list of proposed meeting dates for next year. Are there any discussion, questions? We're sort of already set up for February 21st, 22nd hearings.
I'll speak for myself. I just don't know. I mean, it's not. I mean, February I'm ready. I mean, I'll be in town and good to go. But I can't tell you what. I mean, I can actually tell you I probably won't be available next December 4th and 5th. So I mean, if there's possibility to be a little more flexible, maybe. But if not, we'll just make it work.
February 21st and 22nd, May 23rd and 24th, August 22nd, 23rd, and December 4th and 5th. And in the past, those have been kind of flexible based on when the council.
Okay.
Because like everybody else, I don't remember.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the main reason we set those dates is more for the notice to DEQ, so when they can target stuff,
Oh, okay.
they can say, okay, and they can call and say, can we target this rulemaking to the May 23rd and 24th meeting? And then within that scope, we also, we've had occasions where we just didn't have the meeting because there was nothing to do. And so we've canceled it, we've moved them to a different date because of timing or whatever. And so these really are just kind of space holders, more for DEQ to have notice of when they might be available, have times available. And it's from an organizational structure, it allows kind of the council to kind of have a target and have that on their calendar. So if things come up, they come up. And we make it do it as best we can. We cancel them if we have to and move on.
Well, this meeting we moved because it was originally scheduled for right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, was
we moved
it?
it to now.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. Well, that helps. We have some flexibility.
I like that, as, the same with Nick, I don't know what it'll be, but at least if they're put down, I'll put them in my calendar and, they go there, I will try not to schedule anything on top of it, like a vacation to Mexico or something.
We want to sure get in the middle of that.
And actually, I will be in Alaska for the August date. So those don't work for me, just to give you. I'll be on a
Priorities
fishing,
are all screwed up.
I'll be on a fishing trip in Alaska. I'm serious.
No, I believe you, so make sure you have satellite phone or something, so we can.
Or we could move it to September.
Oh.
September would work
Yeah.
fine too.
But, so these as a kickoff are fine, and then we need to adjust. I would like to ask, is there anything else coming up? I thought I saw somewhere something happening in January. Is there like a hearing coming up, or am I just?
There's one in February.
Somebody threw something around about, well, maybe that was December 15th.
Yeah.
Decision on the
December
offer.
15th,
We
we're
need to,
Yeah, that'd be.
Just get confirmation from everybody that I have at a minimum a quorum available to discuss and deliberate and vote on the Hopper disposals. That's December 15th. And I'd thrown, there was a time that I threw out a January meeting way back
Okay.
when I was trying to get these dates kind of organized. And January fell out when we started organizing Tinsley and can't think of the other case.
the midnight.
Oh, yeah, Black Hills Bentonite.
Okay.
And so when those came up, those also moved us to a later date for them to get organized, so.
Okay, so I was just confused. That's surprising.
And I had one question before we set the date on the conference call. Is there any reason not to make that decision at the February meeting
Well,
beyond moving?
you're required by law to have your order and your order out 30 days after the close of the hearing.
Okay.
And so we haven't closed the hearing yet, but because of that statute, it seems like it's a strong indication that they want you to resolve these matters as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And not to kind of overly delay them by, manipulating when the hearing closes.
Yeah, the late business.
Jim, do we have a time for the 15th?
That was one of the things I was going to talk with everybody about today or tomorrow, depending upon when we got the time. And so as soon as we get the dates dealt with, if you guys want to talk about that, we certainly can. So that I can send out an order and let the parties know.
Okay.
Well, so I move that we approve the 2018 meeting dates as presented.
Second?
Second.
Then we get back to December 15th.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, except for August 22nd.
Aye.
Except for December 4th and 5th.
Except for December.
So, it's been moved, seconded to approve these meeting minutes, understanding that the dates are flexible based on availability. And motion passes.
So do you want to talk about the 15th?
Yeah, what time works for everybody on the 15th? I can only do it in the afternoon. I'm going to be driving all day, and that's what I'll service.
Is that a Friday?
Yeah. That's
Yes,
right.
it is.
Friday, yeah.
It's next, not this
It'll only
Friday,
take
but
a
next
few
Friday.
minutes probably, right? Less than an hour. Right?
Yeah, it shouldn't take.
That's what I think.
I think
Yeah,
we
that's what I
have it.
hope.
20 minutes, because all the information's in, it's just a matter of us taking the vote, is that? Do I understand that right?
Everybody, yeah, I mean, those that want to participate in the vote need to review the record.
Yeah.
We need at least 4 people who are, you know, read the record, reviewed all the pleadings and the closing arguments. And so, yeah, then once that's done, all we need is any deliberations the body wants to have, and then a motion to approve the permit, and then a vote on it. And then shortly thereafter, within 30 days from that point, Ryan will get an order out for the hearing officer to sign. And
To let you guys know, I did watch the video from both the hearing videos, and so I'm ready. So I'll be looking forward.
Yeah, part of the reason I requested the 15th is I haven't had a chance to look at the closing statements. This is the end of the semester and I'm swamped right now. And I finally clear up. I start getting exams next week and I start to have some time. So I'm the delay.
Tiny violin.
So you don't have to give a violin. I just.
So what time works for everybody?
If you guys if there's 4 of you that are for sure going to be on, I'm traveling that day. I'm just not sure. I'm flying back from Oklahoma City and then driving up here. So I just
Is there any time that?
maybe
You might
late afternoon. Or, you know, what time were you thinking in the afternoon?
I'm pretty flexible. We're putting out bucks. And I've got to be
Let me just look and see what
at
time
a
my
certain
flight lands.
Does,
we can do it as late.
well, let me suggest another, I'm looking at my schedule that week. Is the afternoon of December 12th, Tuesday, December 12th, is that? I have,
What day is that?
that's Tuesday.
Tuesday, let me see if I can bring
Not
my.
any better for me.
It is or it's not.
It's not.
Let's
No.
see.
Okay. I'm actually going to be at a meeting.
It's 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
Well, I think we could probably do it early afternoon. Let me just I'm pulling up my return
Yeah,
flight here.
well-
Friday.
Tim, you're allowed to, you'll be on the phone. We don't,
Yeah.
whatever things you need.
Yeah, anytime I had a order before, wait till I had a few and then back in the meeting.
So
We got 30 minutes to kill. Yeah, so if we did it at like 2 o'clock, I'd be good.
2 o'clock on the
I'd be able to be
15th?
on by 2 o'clock, no problem.
yeah, I can do that.
Works for me.
Okay.
So let's schedule that conference call for 2 o'clock on the 15th.
Okay, and just so everyone knows, you'll get an email from Uber Conference. And for anybody that hasn't ever done this before. And so if you don't get it, either call us or look in your trash, because Uber Conference has a tendency to head for the trash in some people's email system. Especially if if you're on a company email system or whatever, it has a tendency to get trashed. Or spam, or whatever they call it. Dr. Bagley?
Yeah.
You'll be at home, you'll be across the hill.
Okay.
Yes. Well, not necessarily. Let me, that's one of, I may be able to come over.
Okay.
So, I'll be able to follow up with you later.
Two.
Okay, so this is really important business. Megan, your
Yes.
potato bowl, first ticket allocations are today at 5 PM. So folks who want to go to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, just to let you know, get them through the UW Athletic Conference.
It's gonna sell out.
Sorry?
It's gonna sell out.
They have to sell so many tickets or one way or the other.
I guess, we can adjourn.
Recess.
Sorry. Thank you, recess, until 2:30.
Right.
And I think. Okay.
It's 2:30.
So yeah, for the future, let's stack the meetings so that we don't.
Well, we try.